Thank you, Ashu. Thank you, everyone. There are in our existence spots of time that with distinct preeminence retain a renovating virtue, whence our minds are nourished and repaired. These spots of time are the defining moments that stand out in our lives, in the life of an individual, an organization, an institution, or even in world history. There are special moments in our lives when we find ourselves on a watershed that clearly demarcates the terrain we have traversed from the land that lies ahead. There is a before and there is an after, a BC and an AD, if you please. Nothing is the way it used to be. All is changed utterly. This today, where we stand, is a watershed. This is the first Shoolini Literature Festival, and there is no going back now. From here, we can only move on, we can only move ahead. The culture of literature festivals is what we are ushering into our campus, our state, and beyond. We hope to reach out further and further with every passing year. Nothing's going to stop us. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Manju Jaitka, and I teach at the Department of English in Shoolini University. As I welcome you to our maiden Lit Fest, let me first introduce you to my colleagues in the department. I begin with Professor Tej Nath Dhar, who has joined us very recently. So Professor Dhar is here. Can we have the spotlight on him, please? Professor Dhar. Professor Dhar. Then we have Purnima Bali, who has been teaching here for the last 4 years. We have Neeraj, who also teaches here, and Sakshi Sundaram, who joined us last year. Before we proceed further, we have a brief preamble by an invited speaker. Professor Dhar will introduce the invited speaker, Mukesh Williams, Professor Mukesh Williams from Soka University, Japan. He will be introduced to you by Professor Dhar. Professor Dhar, over to you. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you Professor Mukesh Williams, who is a university educator, global media analyst, author and poet, and has taught Anglo-American, South Asian, and Caribbean literatures, intercultural communication, media, academic writing, and cultural history for 5 decades. He possesses extensive experience in editing and organizing academic research work, writing for journals, newspapers, and literary magazines, and referring doctoral theses in Anglo-American and Asian literatures. Professor Williams is familiar with the academic and media climate of India, Japan, the US, and the UK, and possesses excellent skills in interpersonal communication, intercultural dialogue, and global negotiation. He reports for the global media, especially the BBC World Service, and is on the editorial committee of Japan Spotlight. Presently, Professor Williams runs the South Asia Research Center at Soka University as its advisor. Recognized for his dedication, energy, and selfless service, he won the Soka University Award of highest honor in 2001 and is mentioned in the International Library of Poetry 2007 and has been interviewed by 2 international poetry journals, reviewed in many journals and newspapers, and figured in Encyclopedia of Indian Creative Writers in English 2010, and UK Who is Who 2010. Professor Williams.
Good morning to everybody, and thank you, Professor Dar. I thought you were talking about somebody else, not me, but thank you very much. So what I'm going to say is a little short, and there's a longer version which Manju has loaded. If you wish to take a look at it, please do so later on. But let me begin. I take this opportunity to thank our Chancellor, Professor Prem Khosla, for bringing writers and readers together at Shoolini Literature Festival. I also congratulate him for launching his autobiography on this very auspicious occasion. I also want to thank Professor Manju Jaidka, whose indomitable spirit makes impossible possible. Professor Manju Jaidka and Shoolini University, I'm really grateful to you for inviting me as a guest speaker to open the Literature Festival. Thank you very much. I'm expected to speak on the topic, Literature Makes the World Go Round. Well, literature can make the world go round. Contrary to the opinion of many people, literature can make the world go round. It does not bring about social revolution, but creates an inner human revolution. Readers often get a new perspective to life. So when you read Professor Khosla's autobiography, you will understand that. Everything in this world has power. From the shadows on the wall to the stock exchange. Literature has its power too. Let me share my personal experience here. After reading The Good Earth, written by Pearl S. Buck, my mother began to think of buying landed property. In this novel, the writer highlights the importance of acquiring land to lead a better life. Literature cheats reality through words and creates an artifice of significance. It tricks us by crafting a world through words, a world that never existed before. It gives significance to life by selecting an event, a mood, a time, or a character. It includes us by its intensity or repels us by its strangeness. Literature marks the change in temperature, the fragrance of simple things, the smell of childhood, the baking of cakes. The world of literature, the world of written literature, is a small world of an educated public who has the leisure and inclination to read books. Some read books because they are bestsellers. Others read for pleasure, edification, transformation, or renewal. The list is endless. The world of literature expands and contracts depending on the whirligig of taste and temptation. Literature makes an ordinary life extraordinary. It gives a new flavor to reality. Literature can be a metaphor, a representation, or a mirror of life. It can rise as an Eliotic paradigm, a Proustian olfactory, or a Premchand universe. Sometimes writers write for themselves, like, say, Shonanugon in the Pillow Book. And sometimes they write for others, like Proust in Remembrance of Things Past. But whether they observe the dawn as representative of spring, or Petite Madeleine of childhood, a keen observation and recall are hallmarks of good writing. Often, writers observe historical events and find them fall below their expectation. Faiz Ahmad Faiz wrote about the partition called Subhe Azadi, August 1947. Ye daag daag ujala, ye sab gazida seher, wo intezar tha jiska, ye wo seher to nahi. For those who do not understand, this stained light we see in this tattered dawn, this isn't the morning we had been promised. The lines release a cloud of regret that rises from the stomach and gathers in the eyes as tears. At times it makes your stomach go round. Writers like to create a new world, and a new world needs a new structure. Some writers, like G.V. Desani and Premchand, believe in the stability of the word and the object it represents. They feel that sense perception could be captured in a sentence. They make the world survive in a book, like a beam of sunlight in a room. They force the individual to enter history against the intolerable pressure of the present. Both Desani and Premchand find a window in the house of fiction to connect imaginative structure with historical reality. Desani writes, "Last night I saw a dead mouse being thrown out of a trap by a surrealist neighbor. An Indian fella, damn it, makes my blood boil to see mice being chucked about like that." Munshi Premchand writes in his Upanyas, Nirmala, or the second wife, "संसार के सारे नाते स्नेह के नाते हैं, जहां स्नेह नहीं वहां कुछ नहीं है. हाय अम्मा जी, तुम कहां हो?" I read this again. This is fantastic. संसार के सारे नाते स्नेह के नाते हैं, जहां स्नेह नहीं वहां कुछ नहीं है. हाय अम्मा जी, तुम कहां हो? The cry of losing someone you love brings you close to others and close to literature. The writings of both Faiz and Premchand not only capture a world gone by, but brings cultures to a boil. Writers not only corner the world through their satire, but reveal the truth about human character or nature. This is the way Writers make the world go round. Literature has the power to represent the present, recall the past, and imagine the future for us. It is often defined by the values and literary taste of its times. Literature imagines a bourgeois freedom and creates a myth of modernity through its representations. The image of the iconic traveler in the works of H.G. Wells, Rohinton Mistry, Adiga, and Soseki show the spread of the bourgeois culture everywhere in the world, including outer space. The internet has become an Anglo-American outer space consumed by Asia, Africa, and the Far East. Global literature is not just a colonial enterprise, but also a function of global agencies that produce, translate, and respond to it. Today, we are in the company of writers. We are in the company of would-be gods. They write and publish to leave their ideas in the receptacle of immortality. They want to capture the essence of cities, the ethos of societies, the foibles of human beings through the magic of their words. But they always have a fear, the fear of not being read, the fear of being forgotten. But writers should not worry too much. Changing a reader's experience itself is to enter the artifice of eternity. Let's celebrate life together with writers and readers at this festival and make the world go round. Thank you very much for listening.